Chaps, welcome back to SJMMA. Today's video is going to be about matchmaking the UFC welterweights. Now, most of these fights will take place within or just outside the rankings, but a few are completely unranked. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down. Let's go. This isn't really me matchmaking, it's going to happen. It probably needs to happen as well with the dominance of Islam Makhachev at lightweight, so him and the current champion, Mr. Jack Della Maddalena. It is going to be announced pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. It's already been confirmed to be happening from both sides and the UFC, pretty much. I'm not going to spend that much time talking about it. I'll probably make a deep dive and a breakdown when the fight is announced, but yeah, this is the next 5-round title fight for the welterweights. Newly crowned Jack Della Maddalena against former lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. Great fight. Right, lads, number 1 against number 3, a fight that was originally supposed to happen at UFC at 315 for the welterweight title. Let's do it as number 1, a contender fight. Belal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakmanov. Now, as much as Shavkat had earned that title shot, he's not fought for a long period of time, and the way the sport works, it's all about kind of evolution and momentum, and obviously, if you don't fight for a long period of time, I understand it's not his fault, he's been injured, but yeah, he needs another win to then earn that title shot, I think, if you add in the time he's been away. Because there are new guys on the block now, i.e. JDM. So, this is very interesting, because I do think that Belal Muhammad may be capable of shutting down Shavkat's incredible finishing ability and how dangerous he is on the feet and on the ground. I do think that Belal Muhammad has the kind of style who could nullify that. Whether he does or he doesn't, I don't know. I'd probably pick Shavkat in a 3-rounder. If this was a main event of a fight night, which I think it probably should be, I don't really want it on pay-per-view. I think a crowded fight night right at the end of this year or right at the start of next year, this is a perfect fight for that kind of situation. I'd lean Shavkat, but I think that Belal Muhammad's got every opportunity to shut him down, I really do. It's a great fight and I'd love to see it. The next fight that I would like to bring to you is Usman against Brady. Now, the thing about the welterweights is there are so many guys in that maybe top 10, 11 who are really, really, really damn good, and there are so many variations, like different variations that you can go about if you're trying to matchmake them. And I think that Usman Brady is about right. I'll tell you for why. Because I'm going to offend a few people here. Kamaru Usman does not deserve a title fight after not fighting for ages, losing his last 3, and then beating Buckley. Look, Joaquin was hot at the time, he was on a good streak, and it's a good win. It is a good win, and he fought very, very well. But, if anything, I mean, in terms of the rankings, I'm sure Brady is fighting down, and in terms of, a rungs up the ladder to get to a title shot, I think Brady's ahead of Leon. He beat Leon, ahead of Usman, sorry. And I think I'm actually nicing Usman a little bit here. I think that Brady is the one who may potentially, I feel a bit aggrieved with this fight, but Usman's a big name, and it's a guy who reigned over welterweight for a long period of time. It's an interesting fight. They kind of do the same things in different ways. Sean Brady is a bit more on the Belal Muhammad and Colby Covington side of grappling, where he is just a consistent takedown threat. If he fails one, he'll shoot straight in. Whereas Usman is I kind of only needed to shoot once, and I can control you for the rest of the round from there, like he did against Leon Edwards in their first fight, and like he did in the Buckley fight. So yeah, it's another interesting matchup. It's not a barn burner in terms of styles. It's unlikely, at least. You know, never say never in MMA, but it's unlikely to be a bloodbath, that one. But still, it could be an interesting kind of spectacle for those who enjoy the grappling, which I do. It's another one a little bit like Belal Shavkat, where 3 rounds on pay-per-view maybe, but I kind of like it as another fight night main event. I'm just making fight night main events at the moment, I think. But yeah, Usman against Brady in a similar time frame to Shavkat against Belal Muhammad, sort of late this year, early next year. I probably want it more late this year with this one, with obviously Shavkat's recovery and Belal just losing the title. I don't mind if that one's a couple of months later, but this one should probably happen before the end of 2025. So Usman Brady is the next fight that I'm going to give you today. Like I was saying in the previous entry, chaps, there are so many different ways and almost variations of how you matchmake a lot of the guys in the rankings, and these next kind of 3 or 4, you could mix them up, you could do whatever you want, but this is the way that I look at it. Ian Garry, Michael Morales, right. If I'm Ian Garry, he really should continue with this almost anyone, anywhere, any place kind of thing that he's trying to push. And in fairness to Ian Garry, he does take fights. He doesn't really duck people. Now, if you take off the D and add a C, nah, I'm only kidding. I don't want to get sued. So, Ian Garry against Michael Morales. Ian may feel slightly aggrieved at this. He may well be looking at a Bilal Muhammad or a Kamaru Usman himself. I don't particularly mind that. And originally, I had him and Leon Edwards for a main event in London early next year. But I had to think about it, and I sort of rearranged it in my brain, and we'll get on to Leon in the next entry. But I've given Ian Garry Michael Morales because I think as much as Ian may feel like he deserves more than a Morales at least deserves Ian Garry. Maybe even higher. At one point I was even thinking Usman Morales and Brady Garry. That was one of the things I was thinking of as well. But Michael Morales is obviously undefeated. He's not really had any issues in the UFC so far. And as much as I think Ian Garry is a step up from Gilbert Burns, especially at this stage in Gilbert's career. Again, I'll talk about Gilbert later on. I don't know, man. I just think that Morales is incredibly well-rounded, which is not something that a lot of these welterweights are. A lot of them can do a bit of everything, but I think in terms of being actually well-rounded across all facets of MMA, he's right up there. Excuse me. And Ian Garry is probably... Right. I think if Ian Garry can beat a Morales, he earned himself a title eliminator bout. This is basically a title eliminator, if you know what I mean. It's a bit like a semi-final, if you catch me drift. And I think it'll be a wonderful fight. Again, it's another one that could be a fight night main event, but it is also another one that I wouldn't mind on a pay-per-view card. You could even maybe do this as a feature bout, a 5-round non-title feature bout on a pay-per-view maybe in November in MSG. It could be quite good, obviously, at the Irish Link in NYC. Maybe a tempting little factor there for Ian Garry. Or on the December card in Vegas, maybe a January pay-per-view. But I really do think that if Ian Garry wants to earn love from the fans, the idea of saying, right, I've just beat Carlos Prattez, who was an undefeated fighter. Let's beat another one. I think that would be great for him. I really do. Recently announced, chaps, a solid addition onto the UFC 319 card is Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prattez, the winner of which should fight Leon Edwards. The thing about Jeff Neal is he probably has, outside of JDM, he's probably the best boxer in the division. He might well be. He really could be. Being a southpaw as well, that instantly makes him a little bit on the tricky side for a lot of these guys. I'm a big fan of Jeff Neal. I don't think he's world title level. I don't think he ever was. I don't think he ever will be. But with the right opponent, in the right situation, if he can keep his weight under control, because the weight cut has always it's been a bit of a problem for him. He missed weight for the Shavkat fight, as I'm sure a lot of you lovely people will know. But an on-song, in-form Jeff Neal is a dangerous man. He really, really is. And I really like the matchup. I think it's a good opportunity for Prattez to rebound. I mean, he's obviously a fighting nerd and they're incredibly hot at the moment. So I'm not surprised that even though he lost his last fight, he is fighting up the rankings. That doesn't shock me. And I don't think it's unwarranted either. I think he's excellent. I also think that if I'm Leon Edwards, I'm looking at both Neal and Prattez and I'm thinking that could be a good matchup for me there. And I think especially if it's Carlos Prattez, he lost a little bit of the stock that he gained throughout his MMA career. He lost a bit of that after losing to Ian Garry. But if he can get a good statement victory over Jeff Neal in Chicago, that builds right up. And Jeff Neal has always been kind of hovering around the kind of 8-9 11, 12. He's number 10 at the minute, I think, of the rankings. The first thing I'm going to say is Jeff Neal and Prattez is a wonderful fight. And the second thing I'm going to say is I think whoever comes out of that is a really, really good rebuild fighter for Leon Edwards. I really, really do. A lot of you may be saying it's a bit of a step down for Leon or too much of a step down. You might well be right, but I really like it, so shut up. Right, Joaquin Buckley. Bit shit against Usman, I'm not going to lie. I expected him to win, but that's kind of half, the good performance from Usman and half a bit of a letdown if you're Buckley. Him and Kevin Holland would be a rematch. I'm sure a lot of you know that, but I'll probably say a few you don't. So yeah, I believe they fought in 2020 when Kevin Holland was just beating everybody. He went 5-0 that year. And at that point, he was levels ahead of Joaquin Buckley. He's not anymore. And if this fight did happen, I probably would pick Joaquin to win it. But Kevin Holland being Kevin Holland, he's booked himself in for another short notice fight against Daniel Rodriguez. So if he comes through that, which I believe he does, a rematch of Buckley and Holland makes all the sense in the world. It's a marketable fight. It's a pay-per-view worthy fight. I'll bloody love it. And if D-Rod can beat Holland and take his ranking, I'd watch a bit of Buckley versus D-Rod. Why not? Gilbert Burns. Oh, Dorino, what happened, mate? Jesus. Wow. It happens in MMA. It happens even to the best of them, as we know. I wouldn't mind if he retired. I really wouldn't. I almost actually said Burns against nobody. And just say, look, you've had a good career. You fought for the title. Off you go, son. You got a great little setup on the podcast there with old Money Moy. Just stick to that. But if he is going to fight again, which he's not said he's retiring, so I assume he will, I think Randy Brown really deserves an opportunity to step up into those rankings. If you look at the people he's lost to recently, the Brian Battle fight, I mean, I don't know how that even happened after the terrible weight misser from Brian Battle. Fucking cheat. Apart from that, he lost against JDM, who is now the champion of the world, and then his last loss before that was Luke. You have to go back, I think it's 4 years for that fight. It may even be longer. So overall, he's on a really good run. He's beaten a lot of decent fighters recently, including Nicholas Dalby. He beat Salikov in the first round with a knockout. Lovely shot that he landed on him as well. I don't think... has he ever been ranked, Randy Brown? I don't think so. Or he might have been at one point, but very, very low down. He deserves an opportunity to try and fight for a number next to his name. Burns, I believe, is number 10 or 11 at the moment. He's lost his last 4. I think it's a good fight. I thought that it should have been Wonderboy against Randy Brown. I thought that made more sense, but it was obviously Bonfirm, and we'll get on to Wonderboy in the next entry. Cheeky little preview for you. Either way, would Burns lose again against Brown? At this stage in his career, probably, to be honest, which is why I don't mind the idea of him never fighting again. I think I probably enjoy that, because I really like Gilbert Burns, I always have. But no, I think it's more about what Brown deserves as opposed to what's best for Burns. And, I mean, the thing about Randy Brown is, yes, he can strike and he's a dangerous striker, and he can kind of grapple a little bit. Defensive grappling is okay. I think Burns would have an opportunity. If he's fit and he's ready, he could definitely beat a Randy Brown. 2 or 3 years ago, he definitely would beat a Brandy... Oh? Fucking Brandy Brown. Randy Brown. But yeah, Gilbert Burns, Randy Brown. On, I don't know, an Apex co-main. Maybe a featured pay-per-view prelim. Something like that, I think, for Burns against Brown. It's an interesting fight. It's a fight that needed to happen for the movement of a weight class. But again, I wouldn't mind if Burns hung him up either. Right then, Wonderboy, let's talk about you, mate. Let's start with the fact that this Bonfirm fight is a bit strange. I mean, like I've just said in the previous entry, Randy Brown was the perfect opponent, I think. If you're going to fight outside of the rankings, which he should do, he's right at the back of the rankings and he's lost his last 2. Makes sense. But, excuse me, yeah, I'm not sure about this fight. It's happening. It's always nicer to see our Wonderboy back. He's probably not got long left in the sport. The fight that I've made, you can see it on your screen already, is entirely dependent on if he can beat Bonfirm. If he can't, this fight doesn't happen. And even if he does, we know what Colby's like. But I think Wonderboy is a big enough of a name, and it is a good matchup for Colby as well. It's a very good matchup if you're Covington. I really like it. Covington against Wonderboy. They're two massive names. I think it makes a lot of sense. You could headline a fight night with that. Maybe even a feature bout on pay-per-view in a 5-rounder with that fight. It's a really good fight, that one. Neither of them are going to get anywhere near a title again. Let's just say that. It won't happen. But it's kind of one of those that rounds off an era, because they're kind of from similar time frames. I know that Wonderboy's a bit older than Colby, but he came into MMA at a later age. Obviously, a really good kickboxing career before MMA. I really like the fight. It's literally, it is probably the most hated guy in the sport against one of the most loved. Makes all the sense in the world. Like I said, it would be a good matchup for Colby, this one. I think he would win it, regardless of if it's 3 or 5 rounds. But, yeah, it is a big if, even though I don't understand the matchup. I think that a Bomb Firm has got a really good chance of beating Wonderboy. But if Thompson can beat a Bomb Firm, let's see this. I think it makes lovely sense. I'd love to know your opinion on this one. Lads, let's leave the rankings and let's make some other really good matchups throughout the weight class. I think that Gunnar Nelson against Michael Akiyama is a fantastic matchup. Again, it's a grappling matchup. I mean, as a weight class, a lot of grapplers seem to be in the 170-pound weight class. So if you like your striking battles, you probably wouldn't get one with these two. But it's an interesting one. They're both unrecognisable names. Kies has been okay recently, and Gunnar Nelson's been all over the place. Obviously, had a big layoff after he lost against Leon Edwards. Been okay since, obviously lost his last fight, as we know. But I don't mind it. I quite like it. I think Nelson would win, actually. But it's not a prediction video. It's a matchmaking video. So I think Akiyama versus Nelson makes a bit of sense. So let's see it. Of course, I have to talk about an unranked British welterweight, and I'll pick Sam Patterson. I've been really impressed with Sam after he moved up from lightweight into the welterweight. He's been very good recently. I mean, it was a bit of a shit show in his debut. It's your first fight in the UFC at home in London, and he's a Watford boy, so he's not far away from the O2 at all. And he got chinned by Ash Moose quite quickly, but he's recovered well. Really nice win earlier in the year, and I think wasn't completely forgot who I was going to fucking say there. Temba Grimbo, there he is. He's come back in my head. Sam Patterson against old Temba is a wonderful fight. I mean, he obviously fought Luke quite recently. Big step up. He came unstuck. That's not the end of the world. Luke is on his way down. I'll talk about Luke in a minute, actually. Yes, he's on his way down, but he's still dangerous on the feet and on the ground. Loves a Darce choke, as we know. So, yeah. I think it's a good opportunity for Sam to step up. And Grimbo's a great fighter. It's one of those where, of course, you don't want to lose a fight, but if he does, it's not the end of the world, because Grimbo is a step up. He really is. So, Sam Patterson against Temba Grimbo on the next London card sounds really good. So I'm going to say let's have it. Right, Luke, a little bit like your old mate Burns. It's not been going very well, bruv, has it, particularly? Now, I'm not going to make any sort of accusations, but it's just a bit weird how two people who were so close are together in camp. All of a sudden, just fall off a cliff at pretty much the same time. I mean, I'm not saying there may have been some substances in the gym. I would never say such a thing. Not a chance. But either way, just feed him to Jacoby Smith, because he obviously won very recently against Nico Price on the 317 card, as I'm sure a lot of you saw. He's very good. He's mustard. I really do think he's that good. It's very early to have him fighting a ranked opponent, which Luke is still. He's number 14 or 15, I believe. Or he may even be unranked now. I don't know. He's either right on the back of the rankings or he's just slipped out of them. It's a big step. Maybe a step too far. We don't know. That's why you have these fights, so to see if it's too big of a step or if he can rise up. If he can rise up, he's off to the races, and he could be looking at a kind of a mid-ranked fighter about halfway into next year. But I think Luke, as much as he won against a Grimbo, you take that out, it's been a bit shite recently. So, Vicente Luque against Jacoby Smith. Let's have it. I can see the comments already, actually. To be fair. Let's actually finish with something a bit tasty, a bit weird. Jorge Masvidal has been threatening a return to the UFC for the last 8-9 months at least. Michael Chandler at welterweight? Maybe? Yeah. I can already tell that you're either absolutely with me on this, or you think I'm a donut. Or, a bit of both. You think I'm a donut, but you actually kind of quite like it. Please let me know what you think. But Michael Chandler is in a position where he could fight Joel Alvarez, he could fight a Benoit Saint-Denis, he could fight a Nadim Sadikov or a Huffy soon, if he really wanted. Or he could fight big fights against big names. And I think he is definitely enough of a name for Chandler to turn around and say, yep, I don't mind that. And then for Masvidal to turn around and say, yep, don't mind that. I think it'd be fun. I really do. Because as much as Michael Chandler naturally would think, oh, I can just take him down, he wouldn't. He would try and knock him out. Because that's just who Michael Chandler is. I can't work out if he's a genius because he's so exciting, or if he's a donut. He's a bit like me. He's either intelligent or thick, and there's no in between. Yeah, it's a bit wild, this one, but I really like it. It's one of those where if you come back from Masvidal's point of view, it is, and you beat Michael Chandler, it isn't like an oh my god, he's in the title picture, but he's made it very clear that he wants Leon Edwards. If he fights Michael Chandler and beats Michael Chandler, he could get that fight. I really believe that. The other option I was thinking about doing was maybe him and Holland, because if you remember, the last time that Jorge fought in the UFC was 287, and him and Holland had a bit of back and forth on stage. That could be a fun one. Oh, roadmap appears in my mind. You fight Chandler and beat him. You fight Holland and beat him. You fight Edwards and beat him. Title shot. Not going to happen, but there's a roadmap for you. There you go. See? I know my stuff. Either way, Michael Chandler versus Jorge Masvidal at welterweight. Right, lads. That's the video. A lot of these I think are really intelligent, smart, and I think you'll like them. A few of them are a bit wacky. But, you know, that's just who I am. I like to entertain you lovely people. And if you were entertained, let me know. I'll speak to you very soon, and, yeah, take care.